Everyone knows the advances we have made with cell phones and their uses, and it seems that we can't live without them. But are we also being made aware of the negatives? It is without a doubt that the cell phone has been one of the most innovative and helpful pieces of technology to date. And at this point, nobody could imagine our lives without them. Cell phones come with many positives that we use every single day, including instant communication with others, connection through the internet, and storing and collecting your own personal data. One thing that isn't being talked about as much, though, is the negatives that also come with these cell phones and how their excessive use can have multiple issues. These negatives include increases in car accidents or other pedestrian accidents from distraction or not paying attention on the road. Some of these negatives are more emotionally damaging, such as lack of face-to-face communication and isolation. These can be very harmful to personal, mental, and emotional health. There are many studies taking place on even more fatal issues, such as the potential risk of cancer from cell phones and some radiation that they emit from answering cell phone calls. Texting and driving is also the cause of almost 1.3 million car crashes every single year. Several of these car accidents have led to death or serious lifelong injuries. In order to prevent these crashes due to texting, states have passed laws to ban cell phone usage while driving, but even with these laws in place, people still choose to text and drive or talk on the phone while at the wheel, which can be extremely distracting and increases the risk of crashing. This continuous bypassing of these laws will only cause more accidents and potential lives being lost, just because they cannot wait to respond to a text or an email. Not only can you get in an accident while texting and driving, but cell phones can also cause pedestrian accidents as well on the streets. While texting or talking on your phone, you become less aware of your surroundings, which can lead to potentially dangerous situations. By not seeing where you are walking or walking with your head straight down on the phone, it could cause someone to walk into the road, thinking that they're still on the sidewalk, and potentially getting hit by oncoming traffic. Almost over 1,000 people every year go to the hospital or die from tripping or running into objects while texting and walking down the street. It may sound like not that much of an issue to just look up, but the potential dangers that you put yourself in by looking at your phone and not looking up on the streets is very high. Cell phones have also given us the ability to get a hold of anyone at any time, no matter how far apart. Despite how nice this may seem, this also comes with a lack of face-to-face communication, which can be very damaging to social and mental health. People become more adept to talking over the phone, and when only communicating through internet and social media, this can lead to an increase in poor social skills. When reading a text, it can be hard to tell the tone someone is using by these text messages. They may mean one thing, and it could sound completely different, and a person can take it differently. These can lead to issues with unnecessary arguments and fights just because of a misunderstanding that wouldn't have happened if the conversation had taken place face-to-face. An excessive use among teens is mainly an issue when it comes to schooling. Cell phones could be an English teacher's worst nightmare in a class. Only using cell phones and computers to write and communicate can decrease language skills greatly and could have a major effect on students' work and their grades that they put in. This is all because when writing on a phone, you never have to use commas, spell words correctly, or even use correct punctuation, because the cell phone corrects all of these mistakes for you. And using this all the time, these students just adapt to it being fixed for them, and so they automatically just write the wrong thing, thinking that it's gonna be fixed for them, which is definitely not the case in their classes and when they're turning in their assignments. These target many young students as well in upcoming classes and can be very damaging on the way that they learn their language and their English skills. These are mainly affected on assignments when kids use their texting languages that they normally use, such as slang or acronyms that they're used to using every single day. And it's very easy to put those into an essay or an assignment without even noticing because of how often they use these abbreviations. And these just seem harmless, but these can be, over time, if you adapt to only using abbreviations. College and other later classes can be very difficult. One huge problem with being too reliant on cell phones is also the price that comes with them, and it is rising every single time that a new one comes out. Affording a phone for every member in a family can be extremely expensive, and after the phones are even paid for, every month there's a fee for the data that's used, depending on how much you use or how many people are on your plan, which every single month could be a different price and could add up even more and more. And not having a phone is an option, but at this point, for many jobs, it's almost required to have some sort of access to internet or a computer that you can have at all times, and the cell phone is just the most basic use for that. And while there are also substitutes for cheaper, more affordable phones, even with the plans, every single month with a $70 plan that adds up over time for a family of 3 or 4 people, and they all need cell phones to communicate with. Parents need to communicate with their children, whether they're at work or if they have a sporting event. They need a way to get a hold of them quickly. But over time, that can cost a family a lot of money, and some people start to put cell phones as a necessity over more important things, making them lose more money. Most people usually think about the negatives effects of cell phone as very limited and very small, because when people think of cell phones, we think of all of the cool features they have, all of the new things that are being added, and the cool things that you can do with them. But there are many, many important issues that are just being overlooked due to this, such as car accidents and pedestrian accidents that can be caused from distractions, the lack of face-to-face communication that leads to multiple mental health risks and damages in young children, and even the simplest things such as the way you talk and your grammar can be completely altered by using cell phones every single day and having something that can constantly correct all of your grammar. These can have a huge effect on the students and their grades. Cell phones also just have a severely negative effects in which many people never think about, but these issues need to start being pointed out more and dealt with before these issues get worse.